And this was just completely shocking. When we first looked at the results, it was astonishing. We've had to rethink the history of technology completely as a result of this single object. It's such a clever, extraordinary, sophisticated machine. Completely shocking for ancient Greece.
A rusted chunk of bronze, Brussench dragged up from the bottom of the Mediterranean, has flipped the story of ancient history on its head.
It was not recognized at all as being anything interesting when it was discovered. It was just a corroded lump about the size of a large dictionary.
This strange-looking object is over 2,000 years old, but inside it are gears so carefully made they match the precision of today's finest watches. Long before anyone was supposed to know how to build such things. If something this advanced was lost for so long, what else is still buried out there? Could it mean we're not the first advanced civilization to walk this planet? Join us as we uncover the mystery of the Antikythera mechanism, the impossible discovery. The bronze lump sat on the table like it didn't belong to its time. 2,000 years underwater had chewed away at its surface, and green corrosion clung to the metal like a second skin. It felt heavy in the hands, crumbling at the edges, falling apart like something diseased. But beneath all that decay, something shone. Dr. Valerio Stace leaned in, peering through his lens. The year was 1902, and what he saw sent a chill down his spine. Tiny, sharp metal teeth. Gears crafted with shocking precision. They were no bigger than coins, yet they fit together like parts of a modern machine. Gears like these weren't supposed to exist for another 1,200 years.
This was the first shock because anything from ancient Greece simply shouldn't have gear wheels. These were precision gears with teeth about 1 millimeter long. And this was just completely shocking.
The corroded mass broke open like fruit gone bad, revealing something even stranger inside. 82 pieces scattered across the table, each one part of a puzzle no one was ready for. One of the largest gears was 13 centimeters across with exactly 233 teeth, each one carved so finely it could pass for modern engineering. Yet this device was older than the first mechanical clock by over 1,000 years. Across the bronze, ancient Greek letters were scratched into the metal. Some read "Ray of the Sun." Others mentioned Aphrodite and long-forgotten Egyptian months, words carved in a hurry like someone desperate to save knowledge they feared would vanish. The room filled with stunned silence as scientists gathered around the pieces. They counted the gears, 30, then more. Each one fitted into the next with eerie accuracy. The work was so clean, so precise, it would need tools no one thought existed in the ancient world. Even the bronze itself was recycled, likely taken from older machines, hinting at a technology that went back further than anyone imagined. Some of the smallest teeth were just 1 millimeter long, cut by hand at a time when most people couldn't even write their names. It wasn't just impressive, it was unsettling. And there was more. X-rays showed hidden parts still locked deep inside the lump. Layers of gears untouched by air, all connected in a design so advanced it looked like something built to calculate the future. Ancient Greeks were supposed to have pulleys and levers, not this. Panic rippled through the academic world. Some called it a fake. Others said it came from a later shipwreck. But the fragments sat there, plain as day, saying one terrifying thing: history got it wrong. This machine would take over 100 years to fully understand. But from the very first moment, one truth became clear. This wasn't humanity's first climb up the mountain of knowledge. We had done this before, and we lost it all. The Mediterranean was restless, and 60 BCE waves slammed against a wooden merchant ship as fierce winds tore its sails apart. The sea was dark, violent, almost as if it knew what was on board. The ship carried more than just wine and oil. Packed deep inside were strange treasures: Greek bronze statues, marble figures from Asia Minor, delicate glassware from Egypt, and hidden beneath it all, wrapped in cloth like something meant to be forgotten, was a bronze device that no one would understand for 2,000 years. The storm didn't wait. The ship went under fast. At least 4 crew members vanished with it, their names and faces lost to time. The wreck settled off the coast of Antikythera, an island with a deadly reputation, known for pirates, shipwrecks, and stories that never made it home. Saltwater started eating through the wood and metal, but the sea kept its secret. Nearly 18 centuries passed. In 1900, a group of sponge divers from Symi arrived, searching the seafloor for sponges to feed their families. One diver, Elias Stadiatis, dove 40 meters down. He expected silence and sand, but what he saw jolted him to the surface in panic. Gasping for air, shaking, he told the crew, "There are bodies, dozens of them, lying in rows like fallen soldiers." The captain, Dimitrios Kontos, thought the pressure had gotten to him, but something in Elias's face said otherwise. Kontos dove down himself. What he found were statues, massive bronze and marble figures scattered across the seabed, arms, faces, torsos, like gods ripped from the earth and frozen in time. He surfaced holding a bronze arm in his hands. Word spread. The Greek government sent archaeologists to investigate. This became the world's first underwater archaeological dig. What they uncovered didn't make sense. The items weren't from one place or one time. They were from everywhere. Coins dated between 76 and 67 BCE offered a rough estimate for the wreck, but the cargo told a much bigger story. These weren't just trade goods. Someone had been collecting rare, advanced works, artifacts that captured the highest levels of ancient science and art. Buried among nearly 100 sculptures was something else, a lump of bronze, broken and corroded. But inside were gears, small, precise, and impossible for their time. Years of study revealed the truth. This ship had carried more than riches. It held knowledge, carefully chosen and transported, possibly by scholars working together across continents. The cargo connected Egypt, Greece, and Rome. It hinted at a shared ancient network of thinkers exchanging ideas long before modern borders existed. The divers thought they had found treasure. What they found was a warning, proof that civilizations rise, and they fall. And maybe, just maybe, we're not as original as we think. But when researchers finally looked inside, what they uncovered didn't just surprise them, it broke everything we thought we knew. How could a device this complex have existed 2,000 years ago? The moment scientists began peeling away the corroded layers of bronze, they weren't prepared for what they saw. Dozens of gears stared back, 69 in total. These weren't crude wheels knocked together by hand. Each one was cut with shocking accuracy. Their tiny teeth measured just 1 millimeter long, the kind of precision you'd expect from a modern watchmaker, not a craftsman living 2,000 years ago. And each gear had a purpose. The largest stretched 13 centimeters across, carved with exactly 233 teeth. Somehow the people who built this knew how to calculate gear ratios that still baffle engineers today. But the gears were only part of what made this thing so disturbing. On its face sat a circular dial ringed with markers. The inner ring divided the zodiac into 12 sections, each with 30 neat divisions. This wasn't decoration. It was designed to track the movement of the sun through space with a level of accuracy no one thought the ancients could achieve. The outer ring matched the Egyptian calendar and even corrected for how the calendar slowly drifted over time, something that takes modern astronomers years to understand. Yet someone, more than 2,000 years ago, had already figured it out, and they built a machine to track it. Attached to the lunar pointer was a small ball, half white, half black. It rotated to show the moon's exact phase on any given day. The gearing behind it modeled the moon's irregular orbit, which sped up and slowed down depending on where it was in the sky. That kind of calculation didn't appear again until the Renaissance, over 1,000 years later. Then came the back of the device. 5 dials worked together to predict eclipses using the Saros cycle, an ancient method of mapping when the sun would go dark. This bronze machine could forecast solar eclipses years into the future simply by turning a crank. And it didn't stop there. The machine also marked the timing of the Olympic Games and other festivals. These events were coded into the gears as if even human celebrations were tied to the movement of the stars. Tiny Greek writing covered the surface like a manual etched in metal. Researchers have read around 3,000 of an estimated 15,000 characters. What they've decoded explains how to read the dials and operate the device. A full knowledge system built into bronze. The skill needed to make something like this would have taken expert teams years to complete. Yet this may not have been the only one. Ancient texts hint at other machines like it, possibly built by Archimedes himself. As scientists unraveled the Antikythera mechanism's secrets, they realized what they were looking at wasn't just ancient engineering. It was the world's first computer, a device that didn't just measure time, it predicted it. The deeper scientists looked, the stranger it became. Every detail of the Antikythera mechanism screamed precision. Precision that shouldn't have existed in the ancient world. The Greeks had bronze tools, yes, but not the kind capable of cutting gear teeth so small, so uniform that modern engineers still struggle to replicate them without industrial machines. Under scanning electron microscopes, researchers found machining marks. Not random scratches, but precise, evenly spaced grooves. Each tooth was symmetrical, angled perfectly to mesh with its neighbor. If a single tooth was even slightly off, the entire system would jam. And yet, after 2,000 years underwater, the ratios still lined up almost flawlessly. How could this be? Bronze isn't easy to work with. To produce gears like these, you need hardened tools, most likely made of tempered steel or something comparable. But according to mainstream archaeology, steel of that quality didn't exist until the Middle Ages. Even the layout of the gears showed a kind of mechanical intuition that shouldn't have been possible. The creators used differential gearing, a complex arrangement that allows two inputs to control one output. That same principle drives modern car axles and analog computers. The Antikythera mechanism used it to model the moon's uneven motion. To put that in perspective, differential gearing wasn't officially rediscovered until the 16th century. And yet, here it was, fully realized. Before the fall of Rome, researchers at University College London spent years digitally reconstructing the mechanism in 3D. They scanned every fragment with X-rays, laser imaging, and photogrammetry, building a precise virtual model. What they found matched almost perfectly with astronomical predictions for 205 BCE. The device's main crank could simulate the position of the sun, moon, and planets on any chosen date. Turn the wheel, and you could watch the heavens move, not in real time, but in miniature. Each planetary dial used its own gear train, adjusted for the body's orbital period. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all encoded with stunning mathematical precision. The model accounted for retrograde motion, where planets appear to move backward in the night sky. It even predicted eclipses by combining lunar and solar cycles into one elegant machine. Every discovery pushed the question further back. If the Greeks could make this, who taught them how? No other artifact from the ancient world comes close. There's no workshop debris, no half-finished gears, no prototypes. It's as if the Antikythera mechanism appeared fully formed, the product of knowledge that vanished as soon as it was used. Historians tried to fit it into context. Maybe it was inspired by Babylonian astronomy. Maybe it was built by a lost school of Hellenistic engineers on Rhodes or Alexandria. But none of that explained the leap, the sheer technological jump that skipped centuries of missing development. One engineer put it bluntly, you don't go from bronze statues to mechanical computers overnight. And yet, someone did. It's as if a civilization, or perhaps just a single genius, reached up to the level of modern science, touched it for a moment, and then disappeared. But here's the part that keeps scientists awake at night. The mechanism wasn't just about timekeeping or curiosity. It was built with intent, to predict the future. So the question becomes, who exactly were they trying to predict it for? For more than a century, the Antikythera mechanism remained partly unsolved. Researchers could piece together its gears and inscriptions, but some parts of the machine were still a mystery. Certain fragments were fused together so tightly that even the most advanced X-ray scans couldn't reveal what lay beneath. But that changed when artificial intelligence entered the picture. In 2023, an international team from University College London, the University of Athens, and Google DeepMind began training an AI model to analyze every microscopic detail of the mechanism's surviving fragments. They fed it millions of high-resolution scans, cross-referencing every scratch, curve, and indentation. The system learned to distinguish natural corrosion from deliberate engraving, something no human eye could consistently do. Within weeks, the AI began uncovering details that had been missed for decades. Hidden inscriptions emerged from beneath layers of oxidation, revealing words that hadn't been seen in 2,000 years. Some of the text described planetary cycles, including Mercury and Venus, confirmation that the device modeled the entire known cosmos, not just the sun and moon. But then, the AI noticed something that confused the researchers. The alignment of some gears didn't match the expected astronomical models. When the machine was reconstructed digitally, it showed cycles that didn't correspond to known celestial patterns. Certain rotations repeated at intervals that didn't align with planetary motion. The more the AI optimized its model, the more these anomalies stood out, subtle but deliberate. At first, scientists thought it was an error in the data, but when they ran the simulation again, the same results appeared. A repeating ratio that shouldn't exist, one that didn't track the planets at all. It seemed to follow something else, a cycle of roughly 2,160 years. That number may sound random, but it isn't. In ancient astronomy, 2,160 years marks the time it takes for the equinox to shift from one zodiac constellation to the next. What's known as a great age. Each age, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, defines an era of humanity according to the motion of the stars. In ancient myth, each age ends with upheaval, flood, fire, or renewal. So what was this mechanism really calculating? Was it a clock for the heavens, or a countdown for civilization? When researchers compared the inscriptions to Babylonian and Egyptian star tables, they found even more unsettling clues. Some words matched phrases used in astrological warnings: cycle of fire, end of balance, and new dawn. These weren't technical notations. They were poetic, almost prophetic. The AI continued its analysis, mapping corrosion density to reveal missing text patterns. Some of those fragments suggested the existence of another dial, one not yet discovered. A dial that might have tracked the so-called ages of man. If that's true, then the Antikythera mechanism wasn't just a scientific tool. It was a cosmic clock, one designed to measure the rise and fall of epochs. And here's the part no one expected. When the AI calculated the machine's 0 point, the date its gears would have aligned perfectly, it placed it around 205 BCE. The next perfect alignment, according to its design, happens roughly every 2,160 years. Do the math. That means right now. By the time the AI reconstruction was complete, the Antikythera mechanism was no longer just an archaeological curiosity. It was a message, one that had waited more than 2,000 years for someone, or something, advanced enough to read it. The new digital model revealed faint engravings no one had seen before. These weren't just technical notes, they were written like instructions. One phrase, roughly translated, read, "When the heavens turn once more, the fire will return from the sea." Another said, "Those who know must hide what they know." It didn't sound like astronomy. It sounded like prophecy. As the AI processed the text, it noticed that certain words repeated across multiple fragments: return, balance, cycle, and sea. When mapped against the mechanism's dials, those same words aligned with the gear ratios linked to the 2,160-year Great Age cycle. It was as if the machine's builders were encoding both science and warning in one design. Part star map, part countdown. One set of letters, previously dismissed as corrosion, translated roughly to, "The age ends when the shadow crosses the sun." At first, researchers assumed it was a poetic description of an eclipse, but the timing didn't fit any known pattern. The phrase corresponded instead to a point where the mechanism's calendar wheel, representing the age of Pisces, shifted toward Aquarius. In other words, our time. The idea sent shivers through the research team. Was the Antikythera mechanism designed to track cosmic shifts, or was it built to remind future generations of something that once happened and could happen again? Some scholars began connecting it to myths of cyclical destruction found in Plato's Timaeus, Hindu Yuga cycles, and the Mayan long count. Others dismissed those comparisons as pseudoscience. But the alignment of the numbers was hard to ignore. The same 2,160-year period appears again and again, in ancient calendars, in star charts, and now in the gears of a bronze machine. AI reconstructions revealed one final piece, a small fragment that fit perfectly onto the rear dial. When its inscriptions were enhanced, they revealed a chilling sequence of symbols, a wave, a flame, and a spiral. Beneath it, in faint Greek letters, was the phrase, "The sea remembers." For years, historians assumed this was poetic, maybe referring to tides or eclipses, but others saw it differently. A warning that knowledge, like the sea, always returns. If the Antikythera mechanism really was a clock for the heavens, it also might have been a chronicle of catastrophe. The builders weren't just watching the stars, they were watching cycles of civilization, every rise, every fall, measured, calculated, and written into metal. And now, 2,000 years later, we've built machines that think the same way. Systems that track data, detect patterns, and make predictions without fully understanding the consequences. The parallel is hard to ignore. Maybe the people who built the Antikythera mechanism weren't just astronomers. Maybe they were the survivors of something, passing on a warning the only way they could. Not carved into stone, but engineered into time itself. As the AI's model spun its final simulation, the dials aligned perfectly, not with a past event, but with now. The same phrase appeared again in its decoded text. When the heavens turn once more, the fire will return from the sea. History, it seems, doesn't just repeat, it resets.